You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, Dave! I'll bite your legs off!
I can take it.
Great power comes great responsibility. We have a call. Get to the chopper! And we... Life, finds a way.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to move.
I'm invincible!
Ready, Jack? I was born.
Beats. You can kill it.
There's the fish move. I am the father.
Welcome back to SludgeCast Episode 2. Sludge here.
Matt here. Tyler here.
And we are so glad you guys are with us. One, thank you, everybody that listened to the first episode. We've gotten a lot of good response from it, a lot of feedback, a lot of likes, so thank you guys so much. We definitely have a very special Episode 2 in store for you guys. Tonight, of course, we will be talking about a couple of things we think you'll enjoy. We're going to discuss the biggest video game character of all time, Mario. We'll talk about the history of Mario, discuss some of our favorite games in Mario. We're also going to finish up talking about the newest Godzilla animated film, City on the Edge of Battle, which premiered on Netflix last night for us, the 18th. And there's been a lot of huge movement for the new Godzilla movie, Godzilla King of the Monsters, that we'll also discuss as well. So we hope you guys enjoy it. But first and foremost, we do have a special guest for Episode 2, none other than my former bandmate, great guitar player, great guy, big comic book nerd, even bigger video game nerd, and an even bigger Godzilla nerd, Adam Sadler, also known as Sarge from The Protest. Adam, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me on. What is this? Is this episode 2 of SludgeCast?
Episode 2.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm super excited to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're very, very welcome, sir. I'm definitely glad that you're here. I know with the new record, I have spread that to everybody. I know Matt's got it, right? You
Yes.
got it? Tyler,
yes.
have you listened to it?
I've listened to it. I haven't had the chance to get it yet. But
Okay, so Tyler's going to be the one that's ignoring
I'll
this
have to work
episode.
on that. Sorry, Sarge.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm just happy to have, the new music out, and, I mean, it's not going to go anywhere, so...
It's going to go everywhere. Yes. A little bit of history with Sarge for those who don't know mine and Sarge's history. I was with The Protest for 6-8 years, something like that. A long time, but I started with them back when Sarge was Josh, the lead singer's guitar teacher, recording them when they were in middle school. Then joined the band when right around the time they all graduated high school. Sarge, if I'm not mistaken, you just went to Hollywood for college.
Correct.
Okay, sweet. And I'll make sure I don't get my timeline messed up on this one. And then was with them for years. We released, Sarge came back and we released a record together underneath the title Protest for Pluto called Call Before You Dig. Then we went to big Grammy-nominated producer Travis Wyrick, changed the band name to The Protest, did our first debut record with him called Game Changer. And it was towards the beginning of the second album's release a few years later that I stepped out of the band. And they have since then done Great Lengths, the second record, which was absolutely awesome. And then just released the third album, Legacy, which is... I saw that somebody said it was one of the best hard rock albums so far of 2018. Sarge, I completely have to agree. It is... I've listened to it, 15, 20 times now, top to bottom.
Is that it?
I mean, that's probably not even accurate. It may be even higher than that. So, Sarge, you want to say a little bit about the band since we got you on here?
Well, yeah, man, you covered it pretty well, and I just want to go back to when I first joined the band because, yeah, I was out in California for the first time, and I graduated school, and I came back. And the reason I moved back was to join up with the band, and I knew the three before I left, Josh, Jared, and TJ, and not too well, but I knew, Josh and Jared because I was at their house all the time. So when I moved back, I was meeting I was meeting you, and I didn't really, I didn't know you at all. I mean, like, we kind of, actually, let me back up even further from that. But when I was applying to school to go to California, and so I went to a music school called Musicians Institute, and actually Chase recorded me.
That's right.
I had to do like a little audition and send in to Musicians Institute, and he recorded me doing like a couple arpeggios, which I didn't even know what those were. I looked them up. I had no idea what they were. And then I did like a couple of like free, just kind of like freestyle licks, just so they could hear like what I had to offer. So like, other than that, I didn't really know them. And then I remember being in the Pine Room where the band practiced and wrote all the time, and it was just you and me in there. And I was like, I don't know this guy. I don't know him at all. And you were like working on something, but you said something about Godzilla, and then from there, that's where our friendship like really started. Like that was like the one like jumping off point for me. I was like, oh, I have something to connect with this guy about Godzilla, because I'm a big Godzilla fan. Well, did I know? I did not know anything about Godzilla. Like after like when I started talking with Sludge, it's just like, oh, okay, I don't know anything. But
we feel the same exact way.
I mean, like you're a wealth of knowledge in that noggin of yours when it comes to that guy. But yeah, from there, we're July 13th. We released our latest record, and under the new label Rockfest Records, which is ran and operated by Joe Rojas, who is the lead singer of Seventh Day Slumber. And so far, it's been a great experience. We've been basically working on this record for the last 2 years. In early, May, June of 2016, Josh and TJ both got married. And so we took a little bit of time off so they can like go on their honeymoons and just get into like that new life of being married. So we took some time off. And then a couple months after that, we actually started the writing process for Legacy. And from there, finding a producer, getting a producer, and going through the recording process all the way up into having it printed, it took about 2 years. So, and then our record previously, Great Lengths, came out in late 2014. So it's time. It was time to get the new music out. We wanted to have it out sooner, but really feel like I'm glad we had it. It came out the time that it did, because we had some setbacks, which ended up working out for us, because from those setbacks, just like time delays, it was hard to get us together, producer and band wise at certain points. So looking back on it, I could see how God used his timing for like, okay, yeah, I'm getting some extra time because I want you to write some better songs. So, and that's what happened. And looking back, I'm so glad that the delays did happen, so we can have songs like To the Death and Legacy. Both those songs came kind of late. So
great songs.
Well, thank you, sir. So yeah, that's where we're at, and we're just so happy to have it out, and then looking forward to August and on to get out there and start playing live with it.
And I definitely, I'll add here, because I'm spending years on the road with Sarge. You spend years on the road with any band member, you know what I mean, when you're in a band, you definitely have some stories to tell. Some are not very great stories to tell, some are hilarious stories to tell. But since Sarge is on the show, I definitely want to mention to this date still, and I love every member of the Protest. You know what I mean, Josh and Jared were able to come up for my wedding and play during the wedding. And Matt and Tyler were both there. Sarge, of course, you were in the process of moving to California at the time. But I mean, I love. We're all still really close, even the fact with me not being in the band, because we just spend years together. But my two favorite memories on the road, because at the time I did most of the night driving when I was in the band, was with Sarge. We were heading back to Tennessee, one of my favorite ones because it cracked me up. And Sarge, I hope you remember this one. We were heading back to Tennessee to finish working on our first record, Game Changer. And they still are, we were just absolute workhorses. Constantly, we would go to the studio, record during the week, and then leave and do shows on the weekend and then come back. I mean, we were always playing. So we were heading back to Knoxville, and on the way down, of course, it was a Seven Dust song, called Face Face that was playing, and Sarge was in the front seat, and he usually would be up there in the front seat at night when we're driving, and he was asleep, or at least appeared asleep, and
I was asleep.
The moment this song comes on, it's like someone injected 8 gallons of caffeine into him, because he jumped up out of that seat and we just started rocking. I mean, throwing our fists around in the air. I mean, went ballistic during this whole song, just rocking as hard as we could. As soon as the song ends, back out he went. I will always remember that. The other one, I think we were heading to Vegas. We were on Colorado Highway, and another night drive, and I was listening to Pink Floyd. And we were coming up, and it's beautiful out there, and the highway was going through 2 sections of mountains that you can just see cut up because they're the red, pillars, rock and sand mountains. And off in the distance, past the mountains, was a thunderstorm, and you could see lightning and stuff coming between the mountains, and you could see the lights of the city. I mean, we're talking probably 100 miles from where we were, and I want to say it was Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb was playing, and it was just awesome. Like, it was such a majestic scene. I was like, I got to wake Sarge up for this, and it woke him up. And do you remember that one, Sarge?
I do, actually. I haven't thought about that in a while, but man, that was a good moment. That was one of those moments you kind of realize, like, man, we're out here, we're on the road, and you're seeing the world, like not through the internet or not through the TV or whatever. You're actually out there seeing that type of weather and just having that type of moment in music. And yeah, I remember that now, and man, that was a good time. It
was awesome. So, all right. Well, before we move on into our topics, we actually want to, for you listeners, play the current single off of Legacy for the Protest. It's called What Else You Got. Right now, Sarge, unless you've heard different, it's climbed up to number 36 on the Billboard. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so it's risen up to number 36. They have a new music video out for it. Definitely check it out. You can see them online, of course, all over Facebook, YouTube, their website. So check it out. Here is The Protest with What Else You Got.
I'm taking every shot that you can throw. I'm
All right, so now into topic one. We are going to discuss a history of Mario. We had discussed on the first episode, and I've said it to so many people, that Godzilla, and everyone knows how much of a fan I am, is arguably the largest pop culture icon in the world. There's no question. Mario is an absolute close second by, like, he's holding on to Godzilla's tail. And I honestly think the only reason that Mario's not a bigger pop culture icon than Godzilla is just for the sheer fact of Godzilla's age. His longevity is decades longer. Because Mario has been in, and we'll dig into this here in a minute, he's been in like 200 video games, a movie, I think 2 cartoon shows, and like some appearances in cartoon shows, guest appearing on all kinds of stuff. I mean, everyone knows who Mario is. Doesn't matter what country you're from, you could live on Antarctica and know who Mario is. So, and that's one of the reasons that we actually have Sarge on, is I was talking about, hey man, what episode would you like to be on? And I mentioned us doing Mario, and he was like, I'm all over it. I mean, because you're a huge fan, right, Sarge?
Oh yes, I'm a diehard fan of Mario. It's back when I was growing up, my sister and I mean, we got a Nintendo, and those were kind of like, early 90s, late 80s, and we were given the Nintendo, I think, for Christmas, and then we got the classic. I think we had the Mario, like Super Mario Brothers, and I think it was like the 2-in-1, that one, and Duck Hunt. So we got that and the Zapper, and we would just play that for hours, and then I remember specifically, I think it might have been like 2 or 3 Christmases later, because I mean, we were still really young, but I remember getting Mario 3 on the NES. I just remember Aaron, my sister, holding it up to me. I just remember that iconic cover, and then that was just the game, because it with all the different worlds and like the different power-ups. I mean, that was the game. And then from there, I mean, when the Super Mario or the Super Nintendo came along, then like the Sega Genesis and all that stuff, we got the Super Nintendo, and we knew other people that got the Genesis, and we were just cemented as Mario fans. And for me, I really am glad, because I mean, Sonic is awesome, but Mario is my jam. So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, Mario's way better than Sonic could ever hope to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did find out they're making a Sonic movie, which may be kind of cool, but I want another Mario movie.
Oh, yeah.
What was it for you guys? So, now, I'm the same boat as Sarge. I'm a kid, late 80s, get the original Nintendo. Sarge, you had the dual Mario and Duck Hunt. I had the triple, which was Mario, Duck Hunt, and it wasn't was it California Games or no, US Track and something.
It's something track, wasn't it?
Yeah, like US Track and Open or something. It was like a bunch of Olympic style games.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's what I had.
I forgot all about that.
I unfortunately I wasn't lucky like Sarge and go from Mario Brothers to Mario Brothers 3. I went Mario Brothers to Mario Brothers 2. Which me and
Pain.
yeah,
This is so terrible.
Me and Matt discussed that. Maybe this is my most hated Mario game ever. Matt, what about you?
We thoroughly enjoyed. I had 2 brothers, and we thoroughly enjoyed Mario growing up. I mean, it was fighting who could get the controller, and even with my dad, it was fighting who was going to play Mario.
That's awesome.
We had a blast. And I remember I wrote this down just because I didn't want to forget it. But I'm just going to share my not so favorite, but my favorite Mario memory is. I had come home from school. Me and my dad sat down to play a video game. I still remember we were sitting on the floor, and I mean, it's like the first week of kindergarten for me or something. I mean, I was really young, and we're playing, and I die. Whatever happened, and I just let out a cuss word. It's first week of school. I let out a cuss word, And my dad beat me so hard for saying that. I mean, he hit me right on the leg. It was just like immediate. This fist come flying through the air and nail me right in the leg. Don't you ever say that again. I don't think I've ever said that again since. But that's my favorite, not so favorite Mario memory. But, oh man, Mario was the best. It was the best. Tyler?
Yeah. I grew up kind of, like we had the Nintendo, and I had a friend of mine that had the Genesis. To go back to Sarge, like I got to play both as far as like going and playing Sonic and stuff like that. But it just can't match Mario. Like Mario was always the best. I remember like kind of the same thing as Matt. Like it was always between me and my brother fighting over it, and then like we'd be fighting for so long, Dad would just come in and be like, "All right, my turn," and it was just like it's over because you can't trump Dad at that point. So he'd start playing. But I remember like we would just lay in the floor because we had mine and Michael's TV, which is my brother. We would be laying in the floor playing it. And I remember my dad would come in and play, and we'd always try to do like the 2-player. And my dad was really good at it. Like he could beat the game, and as young as I was, that was amazing. Like Dad was like awesome for that. And I remember like he would go like through 4 different worlds without losing a life. And here I am waiting on my turn, and like it comes to my turn, Dad finally dies, and like I run, and the first bad guy I run into, I die. And like it goes back to Dad's turn. So I remember like I was always frustrated because I couldn't do as well, but I used to love, being able to spend time with my dad and my brother and just playing the games.
That's the way it was with Mark, my dad. And Sarge, me and Sarge would call him Lorax because if anybody's ever seen Dr. Seuss's Lorax, that is exactly, that's my father. That if you look at it, that's how he looks.
Oh, to a T.
I hadn't thought about it until you said that. Like
Dude,
seeing him at your wedding and stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
he is.
yeah,
Like,
totally.
if you look at him in my phone, and I almost guarantee it's the same for Sarge still right now. If you look in my phone and Mark calls, my dad calls, it comes up as Lorax.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Is that in your phone, Sarge?
I can't remember if I have it or not, but he is the Lorax minus the coffee cup. Like,
Yeah, that's all it's missing. Mark is, I cannot stand it from being a child because of my father and Mario Brothers. I cannot stand being player 2. I have to be player 1 because having 2 sisters and a cousin who was always over, but I always beat up all the time. I had no problem fighting over I got to play Mario no matter what kid was in the house. If I wanted to play, I'm playing. But when Mark got home, it was always, you're Luigi. I got stuck as player 2 being Luigi all the time, and I could not stand that. So I love playing with him, but he developed that syndrome of I cannot be anything but player 1 on the video game. So
which is hilarious because for myself, like my sister is older than me by 2 years, and then she was always player 1, but I always wanted to be Luigi. Like Luigi's my boy, and so
that's very true
Brothers,
for Sarge.
I wanted to be Luigi, and then it kind of carried on from that. Like whenever we play Mario Kart, I got to be Luigi. I still wanted to be player 2 because even in Mario Kart, for some reason, I race better with the bottom screen versus like being on the top screen. So if you're player 1, you're on the top screen.
I can see that.
Yeah, the psych involved.
It's so weird. I've always kind of wanted to be player 2 when it came to like the Mario game.
That's just that, the first is last and last is first in heaven. So Sarge has already got that ingrained in him.
He just made me think. We used to play like Mario Kart, the 4-way though. Like you have like each have the
on
even
64.
square, on like 64
crazy.
or whatever. And I remember like we would have it would be me and my brother and my 2 cousins, and like whoever was on the bottom, like they laid on the floor. And they would play, and then the 2 that were on the top sat in chairs, and like we're like laying between their legs, like sitting like while they're sitting in a chair, just so we could be eye level with our own screens. That's funny.
So digging into Mario, I mean, Mario came out in 1982, I think,
something like that.
Something like that. He came out he was created by a guy named Shigeru Miyamoto, who is the creator of Mario. Mario, actually, in doing the research on this, Miyamoto was actually wanted to make a Popeye game. He was wanting to make a game with Popeye, Bluto, and Olive Oil, but he couldn't get the rights to it, so he created Mario in the game Donkey Kong. And the basis for Donkey Kong was you had this, he was actually called Jumpman before he was called Mario. So he didn't have a name in the game until it was published a promo as Mario, because even in the instruction booklet it was Jumpman, and then it was for a promo material he was called Mario. Then he got called Mario officially in Donkey Kong Jr. is when he changed the name to it. But pretty much, he was Donkey Kong took Mario's girlfriend, who was just named Lady, but then it got turned into Pauline, which is such a weird name for a Japanese game. Like, I get Jumpman, but like, what are we going to call this lady? Pauline. Like, I imagine an older lady from the 50s in a polka dot dress with like a basket on her arm with apple pie in it or something. Like, a homey name.
It's making me hungry, man.
Pauline.
Apple pie.
So that's where he started, was in Donkey Kong. The goal for Miyamoto was to create a character in Jumpman or Mario that can be put in any of his games that he makes. Just this character that can be lifelong. So he succeeded in that. But he was originally going to call him Mr. Video, and that name just did not work. Supposedly, the name Mario came from the name of a guy who owned a building they were renting from, Mario Segal or something like that, and they owed him money. They hadn't paid him yet, so they named the character Mario after him. That's the one thing I found that may seem to be the most legit. And he went on from there to just hundreds of games. I mean, he went from that to, a couple different Donkey Kong games. Then he went to the Mario Brothers game, which actually, I didn't even realize this. And I'm Sarge, you may have, because I know you're a real big Mario fan. Because I thought there wasn't really any major difference between the Mario Brothers arcade game and then what came out on Nintendo. That the Mario Brothers arcade game, from my understanding, actually took place in New York, like the sewers of New York, where the one for Nintendo was in the Mushroom Kingdom. Either way, still rescuing the princess type deal. And then it just went from Mario Brothers, just became massive and huge. He spawned so many games for Nintendo. Obviously, the Super Mario Brothers series, which is phenomenal. You got Dr. Mario. There was the Game & Watch systems, the portable systems that were awesome. Then you've got, what other games was he on? And of course, the Donkey Kong games.
I found a YouTube video, and it goes through and lists every single game Mario's ever
what's
been
the
in.
number on it?
It lists 156.
156. That's insane.
I mean, because you figure you get into the Mario parties, you get into the Mario Karts. I mean, as you get to the newer ones, especially. I mean, there's how many Mario Party games? Like, there's like 10 of those by themselves.
Tons of
then
them.
you've got 3 or 4 different types of Mario Kart. It just. It's amazing
it's hilarious
to see a full number there.
Like, they show a clip, like so many seconds of each game on this video. It's like 30 minutes long.
We'll have to share that on the Facebook page.
Yeah, Mario Cement Factory cracked me up the most. It's a
Cement Factory?
Yeah, 1983, and it's just like it's just black and white, looks like, and you're going back and forth. It's almost like Donkey Kong, but you got to release some lever or something, let the concrete go down in the barrel or something. I don't know what it was, but I was dying. There it is right there.
Yep. That's the games are so. Matt, by the way, for the listeners, he's our tech guy, and he keeps his laptop with us. We have printed off the show order and some notes, but Matt keeps everything live for us. So if we need to pull information or find something, Matt's the guy that goes to it and pulls it up. So that is a pretty sweet video, and we will definitely share that on the Facebook page when we release the episode, because there's tons of games. I mean, you look at the games that Mario even guest appeared on Nintendo that I can think of off the top of my head. You got Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. He was the ref for it. I mean, he's been in so many games. I don't even know if I can think of all the games. And then you move from there to Super Nintendo came out. And at that point, I think from Super Nintendo is when Nintendo knew this is our breadwinner. Super Mario World came out and just spawned from there into games. Yeah, like Mario Kart, the Mario Party games that came later. Being in the Smash Brothers games. He's huge. And there was always, the movie that came out, which is actually, there was always the debate on Mario's name. Is it Mario or just Mario?
Mario. Yeah.
And the first actual reference to Mario was from the 1993 movie Super Mario Brothers with Joe Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins, which I thought was interesting for that movie because they used Princess Daisy. and Princess Daisy, because I know sometimes I talk to some people, they're like, well, isn't it Princess Peach or Toadstool? Well, let's go ahead and stamp that for anybody who doesn't know. Princess Daisy came out in the Game Boy games, Super Mario Land, and which was in Sarasa Land. And so Daisy is not Peach. She's not Toadstool. Toadstool and Peach are one and the same. Daisy is just, and I don't know, does Sarge, you may know, is she in any other games other than the 2 Super Mario Lands?
She does make appearances in a lot later games. Let's see. Now, I think she's in other games, but not as a playable character. But I do think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right because I just watched the new Nintendo Direct. But they're now coming up with, they're coming out with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and which I cannot wait. I think I can't remember. I think that comes out in November or December. But what they're doing with that game is they're having all the playable characters that's ever been in a Smash game in this game. So I think that's like 60 characters, 61.
Whoa.
Well, they just introduced Ridley from Super Metroid.
Well,
So
yes.
Ridley's going to be an actual playable character, which is nuts. But
That's gonna be awesome.
That could be like a different podcast. But I think in that game, she is either a playable character, or you can take Princess Peach and switch her look to look like Daisy. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's the case. I have to double check on that. But she definitely makes like appearances as when in kind of like cutscenes, and I think like the Wii U, like Mario Wii U games or Wii games, where it's Mario's with Princess Peach, and then like Luigi's there, but Luigi doesn't really have anybody, so it's kind of like, well, here's Daisy. That's your girlfriend.
We feel sorry for Luigi. Here you go. You can have Princess Daisy. he gets shafted all the time. Poor Luigi. I was thinking
it's
she may
like
have
an arranged marriage type thing.
I was thinking, that she did mostly guest appearance. And I may be wrong, and I haven't looked any of this up. That I think she, in like either Mario Sunshine or maybe Mario Galaxy. I thought she may have been mentioned. Yeah, just not a playable character, but it's a side character. So it was interesting to me that they used her in the Mario Brothers game, especially when you consider the movie when you got. It takes place pretty much essentially in Dinosaur Land, because you involve Yoshi and everyone down there is, dinosaurs, looking like humans. So more like from the Super Mario World. So I thought it was odd that they used Daisy, but Princess Peach, she's the best, she's the biggest, But so for Super Nintendo, it just continued on. Tons of games, Dr. Mario continued. Mario Kart was introduced. You've got there was a whole slew I found out of learning games that Mario was part of, teaching you how to for letters and numbers. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Instead of my mom homeschooling me, she should just let me do this on Nintendo. It would have been phenomenal. So, he went on from there. Obviously, when the 64 came out, that's when he went into the 3D with Mario 64, which is not my favorite Mario. We'll go over our favorites here in a minute. But I think it's definitely in the top 5 greatest Mario games ever. It was so good of a game. Then, of course, you move into, you've got the RPG games like Super Mario RPG, Mario, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. You've got the Mario and Luigi games that work together. They were kind of RPG-esque, I would think. Then you got, of course, Sarge's, and I bet this is his favorite, Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube came out. And then, of course, you go on. See, I knew it, man. He loves that game. We were talking about it, them doing a newer version or something like that for the Switch, or wanting to do one for the Switch. Then you move from there to... the party games, the different sports games like Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, to where the Mario has just gone from there to 2 cartoon shows. I'm not even looking at the notes, honestly. I'm just going to put these to the side. 2 cartoon shows. Actually, interesting, I did find out that they did little Mario cartoon segments with Donkey Kong back in the day. And before the actual first two, like the Super Mario Brothers show that had Captain Lou Albano as Mario, the cartoon appearances of Mario prior to that, Mario was actually voiced by Peter Cullen, who is, can anybody answer that one? I am disappointed. Yes, thank you, Sarge. Boom. Sarge saved it on that one. Optimus Prime voiced Mario, which was great. Then, of course, it was in the 90s that Charles Martinet started voicing Mario, which I did get to go to Comic-Con in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, and he was there. I was like, I gotta meet the guy. That line was the longest line there. Like, and it was so long, so I was like, I ain't got time for this. Unfortunately, there's other things I want to do. But off in the distance, you did get to hear him say, "It's me, Mario," and it was completely epic hearing that, in the same room. So, he's known as the voice as Mario. Mario's huge. He's on every magazine you can think of. He's on cartoons. He's obviously tons in video games. Mario, party supplies for birthdays. Mario's massive. His own movie. His theme song can be known everywhere. His voice, thanks to Charles Martinet, is everywhere. I don't know what else can be said as far as, is there anything you guys want to throw in?
If I can hop in on that,
absolutely.
Before we get to like our favorite Mario games of like the past and present, but I just found out I think it's been known for a while, but I don't think anything's really moved yet. But they're going to do a Mario movie, a new Mario movie from, I think it's going to be animated, and I think the people from I could be somebody correct me if I'm wrong, either Illumination or Luminous, whoever did the production company that did the Despicable Me movies.
It's Illumination.
Illumination.
Okay, Illumination. Okay, so like they are doing a Mario movie, and it comes out either I think it's slotted for 2020. Could be wrong on that as well, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But there's a lot of big like questions and buzz in the air of like, okay, is he actually going to talk, or is he just going to have like his little catchphrases? And that's like actually like a big debate, like, because nobody actually knows. Everybody, who's the guy that voices Mario?
Charles Martinet.
Okay, nobody really knows. Okay, if it's just going to be his phrases that he does and like his laughs and his jumps and stuff, or is he actually going to have dialogue? So it's going to be pretty interesting how they go about that. But that is from the airing of this podcast, like they're going to do a animated Mario movie.
That's going to be awesome.
I'm stoked for it.
Matt's shaking his head yes.
It could be amazing, or it could be really bad.
What you got, Matt?
No, he's right. It is by Illumination, which it makes sense because that's part of Universal Studios. And the last time I was in Orlando at Universal's theme park, they were talking about changing part of the theme park to Mario Land. I think actually one in Japan or someone's already in that process, but they were talking about doing that in Orlando too.
That would be awesome.
So amazing. It's like, yes, please.
just do it now.
But yeah, he is right that the movie it doesn't have dates on here on this. I'm on IMDb, but they do have a Mario movie listed as for the future. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
I hope they have him talk. I would love for Charles Martinet just to voice the whole character the whole way through. Because I don't know how you would sell a full feature film nowadays with today's audience without that dialogue.
I mean, the Minions did it. You can't understand a word they're saying.
Okay, that's true. Yeah. But you had other dialogue.
Yes, you did.
But yeah. Because they can't, but they're hilarious to listen to. That would be interesting, to see them.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that now because we all love Mario. So, and in talking and loving Mario, let's go with our favorite game. Sarge, you're the Mario fanatic here. Let's throw you in. What is your all-time favorite Mario game? Even though I've already spilled the beans on it.
Man, that's tough. I mean, this just my favorite Mario game. Plus, I mean, I could have my own podcast on this, so. It's really, really tough to like narrow one down. But if I can just kind of pick a few, the ones that I can always go back to and never get bored with in no particular order, but Super Mario World for the NES or SNES. I think it came out in 91 or 92, something like that.
92, yeah.
But okay, that game, it just doesn't matter. Like, just drop me in there anywhere, any world, and I'm gonna have fun. And it's like one of those games, like the first 3 worlds, I'm like a master of. Like, and you know, like beyond that, it's like, okay, it gets like a little bit challenging, but just from like those first couple worlds I've played so many times, I know where everything's at, and I know all the shortcuts, and it's just, and it never gets boring. I mean, it's just the introduction of like the cave, getting to have Yoshi, and like just like the way the world was laid out is just so much fun to look at, and like the music was incredible, still is incredible, and because everything's just so happy and charming. So it's one of those games you can never go wrong with. You can, if you are getting into Mario, if you're listening to this getting into Mario, you cannot go wrong with Super Mario World. And you can find it on multiple platforms. So that one, now, as far as like the platformers go, that's probably like one of my favorites. Then the other ones that are my favorites, golly, like Super Mario RPG, also on the SNES class, like on the SNES.
I'm in the middle of playing it again right now, actually.
Awesome. Like, that's another one. Like, I think when that came out, I think it came out like 96 or something like that. That was actually towards the end of the Super Nintendo's life cycle. And I think I remember, because I have like a ton of old Nintendo powers, and I think I have an article that's in there talking about this game, and I think it had like this certain chip in it that was like, it was like kind of like the most powerful Super Nintendo game on the console, because they were starting to get into like the N64, and that was towards the end, but it was just a really powerful game, I guess. God, that was such a fun game, because as an RPG fan, it really bridged the gap between like, okay, I don't like the Final Fantasies, it's too corny, or I just don't like the graphics or whatever, but Super Mario RPG really bridged that gap of like, okay, Mario is very familiar to me, and it's a really funny game, but it's also, it's a game that it's turn-based, even though it has like timed attacks in it, so it kept everything fresh, and also really, really funny, great dialogue, or great.
Yes, that game's got great dialogue in it.
Because everybody talks in it. But it had like great music. The battle system was great. I thought the storyline is pretty standard, but I mean, it's just a fun game. To either, like, if you're like that young, you're like just like getting into RPGs. It's a great way to dip your toe into that world and like still have like the feel of Mario. And I think my last one for right now, for one thing, side note, Mario Odyssey on the Switch.
Haven't played that one yet.
That is a game and a half. Like, if anybody hasn't played that, I know the Switch is still kind of new. They're starting to come down in price where you can find them used, but playing Mario Odyssey is it's just a great new game. Like, they really took Mario and, I'm with you, Sludge, with Mario 64 was not my favorite game just because I was so used to side-scrolling and, like, platforming that way.
Yeah.
But
big change.
They took Mario Odyssey and just really, they built out this game, and it's a really huge game. And like the really cool thing about it is his hat, Cappy, and that is just a really fun mechanic in this game of like being able to throw it, possess pretty much everything. You can like possess like bullet bills and Goombas and stuff like that, so you become the enemies and like use them. So it's just a fun game, and like they took all the classic elements and really threw in like some really cool new twists. Anyway, so that was like a side note. But the other game I wanted to get to, and then I'll throw it to you guys, is Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Oh
that,
man!
Like the Paper Mario series is just a phenomenal series in itself. I mean, like a lot of people know Paper Mario almost just as well as Mario. It's just,
Yeah.
it almost seems like he's his own little thing. And Thousand Year Door, that game, I think, to sum it all up in one or two words, it's just like charming and fun. I mean, like when you play that game, like it's just, you cannot help but smile while you're playing it, and it offers a fair amount of challenge as you get deeper into the game. But I mean, it's just fun to play. Just like that, I mean, that battle system with the timed attacks again, but you have like the crowd. You're like in this theater play setting. So I love the layout of it, and also really, really funny, great writing. The music's fun, and like all the different environments, they're all very different and unique to each other. So each area you go to, it is like a Mario game where the world is completely different from the world you were in before. So that's just a really, really fun game, great RPG. I really hope that they do something with that, if they port that to the Switch, or if they do whatever they do with their online service that launches in September. I really hope Paper Mario comes back, or Thousand Year Door comes back with a vengeance.
It's so good. Of all the Paper Mario games, I think Thousand Year Door stands above them all. They're all great. All of them are great that I've played so far, but Thousand Year Door
100%.
trumps it all. Matt?
I've got so many that I'm just going to do like 5 or 6. I'm just going to say
I'm the only one that said, you know what? I'm going to check time. I'm going to pick one. And everyone's like, no, man, 50. We're doing 50 games.
Well, okay.
It's kind of hard to take it down to just one.
It is.
Right?
Okay, it really is. Because I do have like 5 I can list.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's the original game for the Nintendo, and then you skip Mario Brothers 2 because I hate that game, and then
I think everybody does.
Of course, Mario Brothers 3. That was it for me. That's probably my favorite one to play. On my Nintendo Classic I have now, that's what I play. I don't play Mario 2. Or I play the original.
No one should
some.
play Mario 2.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah, but that one or just any Mario Kart, any of them, I love.
Oh, they're a blast.
It's just something fun about racing. But yeah, so Mario. I guess if I had to pick one, it's Super Mario Bros. 3 for the original Nintendo. I don't know if anybody else had it. I had Mario Paint.
I never played Mario Paint.
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
I always wanted to.
I hated that. I don't know why. I hated that. I remember being in my room trying to play that game and just get so frustrated. I'm pretty sure that I just threw it away because I hated it. It was just so bad. Just for me, anyways. But I don't know. Also, I love. I've got one game on my phone, and it's Super Mario Run. It's the only app. I think it's the only app that I've ever paid money for. But I have it on my phone for iOS, and I love that game too. I still play it to this day.
Man, actually. I did the demo and loved it. I need to actually, and I'll get in modes where like I'll play games on my phone for like a month straight, and then 3 months of no games. So I need to get back on that one's good. Tyler?
I would have to agree with the Super Mario Bros. The original one was one of my favorites. I did like 3. Nobody liked 2, so that's not a shocker. Just everyone hated that one.
Sorry, Nintendo.
But I don't know. For me, like I kind of picked 2, and for me it was kind of because of how I grew up. I was always around my family and stuff like that. And the original Super Mario Brothers, like I said, I played with my dad and my brother, so that was always really memorable for me because I always played it with them. And then my second would probably be like any of the Mario parties. Actually, I used to love the Mario parties, and again, that was one that I used to play with my brother and my 2 cousins. I was 4 years younger than the 3 of them, so for one, they kicked my butt all the time. But for another, just having those cousins and the brother that's so much older than me, but yet they are willing to sit down and play a game and hang out with me like that. That was what I was. So those were probably my 2 favorites, just because I also had the memory of playing them with family.
When it comes to the Mario Party games, I think I've only played. I know I've played the first one and the second one. I don't even know if I played the second one. I didn't play because here's where I came to with the Mario Party games. I always thought they looked awesome and wanted to play them, but around Mario Party 2, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna start playing these Mario Party games, Super Monkey Ball came out.
Super Monkey Ball.
So that to me is the ultimate party game. Like, I love those games.
Yeah. Now I will say on the Mario Party, and like I said, I do like them all. As they got newer, I didn't like them as much. I did like some of the like.
Did they get repetitive?
They got a bit repetitive, and some of the gameplay was just, in some instances, was kind of ridiculous. Like, it just, like, it kind of were getting away from it and adding in stuff, and it just became too much. Like, they were, in my mind, I felt like that they were overcomplicating it a little bit. Like, the whole point of the game is you go around the map, you collect the stars, whoever has the most stars and or coins at the end wins, and you can play through these mini games to do that as well. As you kind of got on it and through the game, like, there's, random traps all throughout the game that if you land on it, suddenly you lose everything, and the guy that was in last place gets it all. And, like, it just, as much fun as it was, like, it just became really stuff that you couldn't control anymore. It was almost like it was designed that one person from the beginning was designated to be the winner.
Okay.
Like, so it kind of became not as fun because it was a little bit more.
That lets me know I need to stick to my Monkey Ball game. I love those games. My favorites, hands down, because I went and picked one, but now I want to add a few more just to mention.
Just since we all did.
Super Mario RPG. I mean, obviously played the first one, and let's mention Mario 2. Because
why do we keep talking about this game?
Just like we always talk about Spider-Man 3. It's just the worst thing ever. Except for Tyler loves that movie.
I like Spider-Man 3.
Oh, no, wait, no, it wasn't you.
No, I was saying I had a bad taste in my mouth for Venom because that's all I knew.
No, I talked to somebody and they said, man, I like Spider-Man 3. I'm trying to remember who it was now because they heard the podcast.
I didn't have a problem. I mean, I had problems with the movie. Man, I saw a new trailer for The Grinch too this week.
Did you? I didn't. Yes. I didn't go looking for it.
It looks good.
But
great.
Mario Brothers 2.
Grinch.
I thought Mario Brothers 2, when I started it, was awesome. It was so difficult. There was so many challenging levels, but then I got to the end because this was in the time when and Sarge, Tyler's younger than all of us, so I don't know, Tyler, if you remember
by a good bit,
getting the luxury of having to rent your video games from Blockbuster for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Did you get to that?
Be Kind, Rewind, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, man.
So,
I spent, I don't know, well, I didn't. I made my dad spend, I don't know how much money re-renting Mario Brothers 2 so I could beat the game because we didn't buy it. And then I finally beat it, and I worked hard. I mean, like, that's a hard game. And then I get to the end, and he's asleep. I have never felt more cheated in my life. Like, as a child going... Nothing mattered. Nothing I just did for weeks mattered. Oh, I couldn't stand it. I took it back, and I wanted a refund. I was like, no. So Mario apps. I mean, there's some Mario games that are definitely as far as playability, way worse in my opinion. But that's just the worst Mario game.
Yeah.
My favorite, Super Mario RPG. I'm with Sarge on this one. I mean, we're big RPG fans. Mario just Mario to me is an RPG game. Stands up there with Zelda and the original Final Fantasy. Like, it's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that game. I'm playing it again now on my SNES Classic. Just going back and I love that game. It's just the characters that were added in Geno and Mallow are great characters. The fact that you get to play as Bowser was awesome. He is a brute powerhouse in that game. So that's hands down my favorite Mario game. I'd like Sarge said with Super Mario World. I could play that game over and over again and never gets old. Super Mario World would have to be another mention as far as one of my favorites. Like Sarge, I mean, I would love, actually, Sarge, now that hearing you say that about Super Mario World, I'd love to challenge you with that game because I know there's people better than me at it, but I know every secret, I promise, from level 1 to level 6. Like, the last 2 levels, they got a little difficult, couldn't do it. The Star World, Star Road, Star World. Oh, dude, I could beat that game at 98%. So I know there's stuff I'm missing because it doesn't go to 100%. It only goes to 99.
No.
But there's still something I'm missing, and I refuse for that game because we've been playing it since we were kids to look it up and see what I'm missing. I just won't do that. I don't like doing that. And Sarah, my wife, she's always, when she watches me play that, she's like, how do you have 99 lives already? I'm like, the forest maze, man. There's that one level in the forest maze where you can get...
Oh, yeah, that's easy.
Oh, it's like it's a piece of cake, you know? Because especially when you're playing with someone like my daughter, when she plays that game with me on 2-player, she's always trying to steal my lives. You know, when you can you know, when you run low on lives and you can give the other player lives.
Yeah.
She's always just real quick trying to switch them up. I'm like, would you stop? You know, and she's like, because she'll do it right before it's her turn to play level. And then she'll nab like 3 or 4 of my lives and hit play on the level. And I'm like, oh, that drives me nuts. So I got in the habit of always, you know, adding lives to it. But that one, and then I would have to go, as far as Mario games, man, it's tough. There's so many good ones. There really, really is. I'm gonna go with, you know, Mario Tennis on Virtual Boy.
Ooh.
No, just kidding. That is terrible. That system was horrible. Wow. When the company has to say, we got to take this back because people are, you know, having seizures. Yeah, that was.
If everyone could have just seen Matt's face, he was like, "What the heck?"
So I mean, Mario RPG #1, Super Mario Land #2, and I would have to go. I mean, we've all kind of mentioned it. Super Mario Brothers 3. That's another one that's just can constantly go to.
You can fly in that one.
No, it's
Which is
pretty
awesome.
sweet. Yeah.
It makes no sense how, and with a raccoon tail, but I mean,
But somehow he flicks
comes
it
from
just
a
right.
feather.
you know what? Actually, I love and it does. I don't know if they've used it in newer games, but the Tukey suit. Do you remember the Tukey suit?
Yes.
I love the Tukey
yeah.
suit. Oh man,
remember the
it was
Tukey
like
suit.
the teddy bear looking suit that you get, and you could turn into a stone thing and just drop. on
Oh
everything.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
I hated the frog suit. I despised the frog suit. I could never work it. I never could.
Now I want to go back and say, like you were talking about how mad you were when you finished Super Mario 2. For our younger viewers that are listening to this did not have a checkpoint or a restart point. Once you ran out of lives, you started from the beginning. You started all over. So for your younger generation, it's like, oh, I beat a game. Like, this is totally different.
It was like Altered Beast on times 50. Did you guys ever play Altered Beast? Mm-mm. Sarge, you have, right? For Genesis?
Oh, yeah, I played with you.
Oh, yeah, dude. 5 levels. That's all the game is. 5 levels. You got 3 lives. Zeus, like, resurrects you. It's a Greek, mythology game. And in the first level, you get powered up and turn into a werewolf. Second level, you're a were-dragon. Then third level, you're a were-bear. Fourth level, a were-tiger. And then the 5th level, you get to turn into the golden werewolf. And you find all these Greek mythology, characters to save some princess lady. I don't remember. But that's it. 5 levels. That is the second hardest game I've ever played in my life. It is infinitely hard. It's to get through that game. 3 lives. And then the worst thing that makes me so mad, and I would throw a system for it, is getting to the 5th level. You're there, you're at the end, and you die. And have to start all over again. Mm-hmm. Kids today,
they don't understand that.
Oh, man.
They find their checkpoint, or they can
I'm
pause it
getting fired
real
up
quick.
thinking about it. Like, I can feel my blood race. I'm like, man, these games. Oh,
I know you cut it off, and that's it.
dude, it's over. It was over.
Done.
I don't know how many games I've thrown because of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like on the Super Mario, like you get to that last level and you're getting to the end, but you only have like 1 life left, and you die, and you just like turn off the system. You're like, I'm just done. Like this is it.
up.
I'm not playing anymore today. This is making
Go
me
out
mad.
back, get the hammer, bring it back in.
Sitting there contemplating
Exactly.
it.
Yes.
Oh man, it's horrible. So, all right, well let's
And-
go ahead, Sarge.
Well, if I could add like one last point to that, because I was thinking about this today, because honestly, right before you called me, I was actually playing Mario 3 on my NES Classic because they just re-released them. I picked one up, and I was playing. I was like, man, I'm so happy, and you guys will probably relate to this. That's why I want to tell you guys, like, I'm so happy that. So I'm 31, and I'm happy to be 31 because I'm playing these old games again with such nostalgia, and I'm happy to be where I'm at in like the gaming universe, because kids today, like when they start getting into video games, they're getting into like they're going to be like their starting point's going to be like the PS4, the the Vive, Xbox One X, all that stuff. So like they're going to have like all these amazing graphics. To where, like, if they encounter, like, a Mario 3 or Super Mario Brothers, but I think a lot of them, hopefully I'm wrong, but to be like, this game sucks. Look, like, they're just blocks. But for us, it's like we can partake in, like, the most current technology as far as video games go, and then we can step back into like 1990, and we're just like, oh my god, now this is what a video game used to be like, and the feeling, that, like the nostalgia I get from that is something I wouldn't trade for anything, because just to go back to that and like, yeah, you beat Ultra Beast or you beat like Mario 3, you send Bowser down after you like smash all the blocks, like beating that, like that's, you have like a sense of accomplishment. Like,
Yes.
I put 8 hours into that and I did it, and I don't think like you can, for the most part, you don't really get that with like, I mean, everything's online, everything's Fortnite and Call of Duty, and that's what everybody's really into now. But you know, there is a term called Nintendo Hard, and like you know, like it comes from the games like Mega Man and Mario, like the old school Mario's, and so I think it's really cool that we, you know, kind of keep Mario, like we're mainly talking about like the old school Mario games, and it's cool to like kind of bring or shed some light on it, because not everybody plays these games anymore. So it's for me, it's a really cool feeling. Like, yeah, stepping back into it, and you're like, these games are great, and they never get old.
They don't, and I agree. I mean, it's so nostalgic, and I can get into a whole other topic there as far as modern games versus classic games. That could take up a. I'm just gonna give a quick little spill on what I feel about modern games, classic games. I love, I love my 360. I love the modern games. I've been toying with a PS4 or PS4 versus
PS4.
Xbox One. I think I'm gonna go with the PS4 route because of Godzilla and some other games that's coming out for it. And no, definitely. And then Resident Evil 2 remake for no, PS4 is what it is. Anyways, I think the biggest thing with games, retro versus modern, is graphics is a problem, because you can sell a game now with stellar graphics, unbelievable graphics. It just blows your mind. And the gameplay and the storyline, I think more often than not nowadays, severely lacks, and the game's not that interesting. Where back in the 80s and 90s, even prior to that, they didn't have the graphics. So they went overboard making sure the storyline was awesome, the gameplay was difficult enough, characters were memorable. Because if you think in the last 10 years, how many memorable characters have come out that's going to stand the test of time of characters like Mario, Sonic, Mega Man? I can't think of anybody, you know what I mean? So, not knocking modern games, because there are a lot of fun ones, but they will never stand the test of time of the classics, I think.
No, I think you're right. I mean, you may get into one like the one that changed a lot of games, like Halo or something like that. You may
get those,
because that changed the face of, and Doom. Really, Doom did more than Halo. That started Halo, really.
Well, hey, you want to go back to first-person shooters? Castle Wolfenstein,
right? Yeah,
you know what I mean, yeah. Again, those are classics. But,
yeah,
but yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, Master Chief. I mean, that is a character who will stand the test of time. But I don't see it happening often.
It was original though, just like Mario. It's something original, and a lot of these are just copies anymore. So
they really are. So, all right. Moving on to our next and final segment. We changed this up last minute a little bit. We were going to discuss Godzilla City on the Edge of the Battle. It's the newest second part of the anime trilogy that has been debuting in Japan and, of course, crossing over to Netflix here. That debuted last night, July 18th on Netflix. All four of us have definitely seen the film, and it was absolutely phenomenal. We were going to discuss just it. But then things changed yesterday with the premiere of this animated film and, of course, the start of Comic-Con. And Legendary has gone through the roof in promoting the new Godzilla King of the Monsters movie that comes out May 31st of 2018. Now, I will state this. I have stated things before, and it does seem, me and Sarge were talking about this too, a lot of my premonitions or whatever you want to call it about where I think they're going or how they're going to do things is all starting to come to light. So it's happening. Real quick before we get into what's going on at Comic-Con with Legendary and Godzilla, let's jump into City on the Edge of Battle. Again, part 2 of the new anime trilogy. The reason why Toho is doing an animated trilogy is because they don't have current rights to do a live action film until Kong vs. Godzilla in 2020 is over. So they've been smart. They've always wanted to do a full-length animated film, and they've done it into a trilogy. Part 1, Planet of the Monsters, great movie. It did have some spots that were kind of but overall awesome. The ending of that movie was phenomenal. For those who haven't watched it, we've all seen it here. They do manage to kill Godzilla. And they blow up they thought was Godzilla. So they blow up Godzilla there at the end. They're all like, yes, what happens in the movie is Godzilla and monsters show up. They pretty much wipe out humanity. The remaining survivors leave, go into space, trying to find another planet to live on. There's nothing there. They have to come back. And when they come back, it's been 20,000 years since they've been gone. And Godzilla is the prime entity on the planet. And the whole planet's changed, in 20,000 years, obviously. So they hunt down Godzilla. In the first movie, they find him. They find a way to kill him, or they think, and blow up his entire upper half in what was one of the most amazing sequences I've ever seen. Then all of a sudden, and this is what I love about movies, kind of like we talked about Cabin in the Woods, where everybody dies. I like those movies where it's like, oh yes, we're going to survive, or we're victorious, and then everything gets just thrown out the window because the entire ground erupts, and the largest Godzilla ever seen, 300 meters, comes out of the ground and just wipes everybody out pretty much. There's a few survivors, but I mean, he just goes ballistic. So the sequel that just came out that we all just watched, City on the Edge of the Battle, picks up right from that, with a few survivors. The main character, Haruo, being rescued by some remaining native humans who have survived over the 20,000 years. And then they go and they find the original city. They go and find the base where Mechagodzilla was mentioned being created in the first film and then being destroyed by Godzilla previously. And when they get there, they find out that the Mechagodzilla AI is still active and has created this entire nano war city. I mean, just a complete city that is nothing but just guns and defense and destructive power. We'll just start with what we thought. I loved this film. I thought this film was so much better. I mean, I didn't dislike playing the monsters, but City on the Edge of the Battle, I thought was way better. Everything, it was almost like they took everything that wasn't liked about the first one and quickly fixed it for this one. I know there was a lot of complaint about Mechagodzilla not being in it in his natural previous forms. I felt like they took an idea with him, and instead of having him be as this big robot, he's this massive just war city. He's evolved himself into this big city. I thought that was phenomenal. I thought they really shot for the fences with that idea to do something different, and I absolutely loved it. The action was a lot better in it. The whole last 30 minutes, I was on the edge of my seat. I could not keep my eyes off of it. I was like, well, this is awesome. Super intense. And then of course, there's the post-credit sequence, which we'll let Sarge talk about because I know he loved that post-credit sequence leading up to the final film. The final film is going to be called Planet Eater, and it brings the greatest Godzilla character into the film. We'll let Sarge get into it when we get to him. Tyler, you want to say, what do you think about the film?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great too. It was a very good movie, and like you, that last little bit, really intense. I will be honest. For me, I'm more of a live action. I'm not as big on the anime type movies. But again, I mean, I totally agree with you. It's a very very good movie.
Oh, dude, yeah. Matt.
I thought it had a good story, a good movie overall. It was better than the first one. It really was. Though my only is I don't think you got enough of Godzilla. This was definitely setting up the third movie, obviously. Oh, yeah. But you saw more of the characters in the whole sequence. It was a character story too. Yeah. But all in all, wonderful picture. So I thought it was great. I watched it twice actually.
I started almost 3 times now. So
actually, the second time I watched it with subtitles.
Did you?
So I could. I like to do that. I don't know. It's like Lord of the Rings, like in the. I don't know I think it's the Return of the King. When I don't know, maybe.
Okay, so wait. Let me make sure I'm getting it right. Did you watch it in English with subtitles?
Yes.
I have never heard anybody do that before.
Dude, I love doing that.
Really? Yeah, you watch it. I mean, because you think if somebody says something under their breath or says something kind of in passing, you're going to miss what they're saying.
And
sometimes.
They actually, it's not. Some of it's not right. It's like they've ad-libbed parts in because they type the script up, I guess, in these things and how they do it. And some of the lines are completely different than what it says on the screen, at least in this one.
Well, I noticed it too because when I first watched the City on the Edge of Battle, because I can't, for the for the sake of employment, when I watched the first one, I had to watch it in English.
Yes.
So and as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of that at all. If it's the Japanese version, I'm watching the Japanese version with the subtitles. And so I watched the American version or the English dub version. Then I went back and watched it again in Japanese with subtitled. And I did notice, and I haven't done it like that because that's interesting. I want to see it now. But I did notice that for the most part, I felt like they were pretty accurate. But there was things I'm like, no, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
He did say more than this. So I see where you're coming from. I want to do that now.
Even like I don't remember which film it is, but I think it may be the Fellowship in the Lord of the Rings series. When Bilbo's in the kitchen making stuff, the subtitles tell you everything he's saying. You can't really hear what he's saying, but it's on the subtitles. To me, it doesn't annoy me at all. I actually like it. I'm going to try that now. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Adam, what did you think of it?
I agree with pretty much everybody that I think this was a better film. I liked it. I thought it was more entertaining, and I do agree with Matt that I probably could use some more Godzilla. I understood, but like once I got into it, like I could see like, okay, I see what they're doing with the story. Like they're really kind of building out the rest of the characters, and to explain like Godzilla City, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to like put some time into that to really like make it cohesive, make it all work. But could use some more Godzilla, but I really like the post ending, credits of like what we're getting to.
Yes.
Who was the alien?
Mephis?
That guy. So when they were like talking, when he's talking with Haruo, right? Is someone saying that right? Yeah. He's talking with him. He's just saying like, he's basically explaining, there's something else that's out there that makes, what'd he say, like Godzilla seem like a dream, basically.
Like nothing to be even afraid of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is terrifying.
Like Godzilla poses no fear whatsoever compared to, what I've seen and what my planet saw. He's like, we don't like this being was so bad. We don't even speak its name because we believe, words have immense power connected to them. And he's like, well, since you're about to go up against Godzilla, and chances are you could die, I might as well go ahead and tell you, and just in case you ever encounter this, and like leans in and whispers to him, Ghidorah.
Oh, dude!
And then that's the end of it. And
I came out of my chair.
I love how they did that, because that's what I'm talking about as a Godzilla fan. Like King Ghidorah is like my favorite because he's like the ultimate. He's just he's the ultimate villain to Godzilla. So just the way they presented that, just like gave me chills all over. Just like, okay, so now we know what's coming. We know what's coming for the third movie, and I cannot wait to see, because if Godzilla is like 300 meters tall, how tall is King Ghidorah going to be?
Oh yeah, because he has to be bigger. Know. Has to be.
Oh yeah.
What I thought was cool with that post-credit scene, and I don't know if any of you guys felt this when it happened. Now, of course, I mean, obviously, with me and Sarge being such huge Godzilla fans, I mean, I know he flipped more than I did. I was like, getting for this next movie. I really felt reminiscent. It made me think of the scene at the end of Batman Begins.
Yes.
Where he's like, you've done this, and now, was it we start giving him Kevlar, they buy armor-piercing bullets, and then he hands him the Joker card.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about when I saw that post-credit scene. I'm like, oh, the ult, because I mean that's what Ghidra is. Yeah. Ghidra is to Godzilla what Joker is to Batman. So that was. So when that happened, I just kept going. I was just like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. What's the race? Saludos? Is that what
the Saludos? Those are the ones that built Mechagodzilla, right?
Mechagodzilla, yeah. And they're the ones that but I guess all their technology or whatever, but to help the humans out. I thought it was interesting how they became one with the. It was like it's like Star Wars. You're becoming one with the Force, and I was just like, "This is kind of cool idea," you know. And so I thought that was a pretty neat touch too. Whereas, yeah, they're trying to help them defeat Godzilla, but they have other intentions as well.
I think with Mephis, I think that his race, because there's the two alien races, they're not coming 100% clean when it comes to Ghidorah. There's something there.
Yeah. No way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what do you think about this, Adam? I instantly, after watching that movie and Mephis' character, I couldn't help but think of, and I don't know if you guys may know the character, I know Sarge will, of the controller from Godzilla vs. Monster Zero.
Yeah.
You remember that movie? So I couldn't help but go,
yeah.
You're like the control, you know what I mean? So I'm like, something's up. So I don't know that their planet was destroyed, you know. I could really see them coming back and, you know, using Ghidorah as an ultimate weapon, which would be awesome. Something else that I mean, do you feel that way, Sarge?
Oh, I 100% feel that way. I think it'd be a cool way to like kind of tip their hat to like that movie, and because I think I totally agree. I think it's kind of obvious now to like really look back and just kind of watch those two movies and be like, yeah, of course they're not telling the humans everything. So
yeah,
and I can kind of see it's like, hey, they kind of like master plan, like, yeah, let's get the humans back to Earth because maybe their planet really was destroyed and they knew about Earth and like, okay, this could be our new planet, our new civilization, so let's get them back there. Let's get rid of Godzilla. Let's have the humans kind of like do it for us, or we can use them as like, you know, disposable bodies, and then
yeah. I think that's what's happening.
I can see how like, that could like kind of like just play into that whole, you know, Monster Zero, and
I think it's
going
gonna be
about
cool.
that route. I wouldn't hate it.
I'm hoping that's what they go with. The name of the next movie is called Godzilla Planet Eater, and the poster just looks awesome. It's got the three necks of Ghidorah kind of going down in this you know, fire light type deal, and it's coming out pretty soon. It actually drops in Japan theatrically November, so it's not far. So we should hopefully have it. It's been about, let's see, it's July, came out in May, and it was the same. So it's been about 2 months from the release of it theatrically for these films to hit Netflix. So we should hopefully have this around January time for the third one. I do think it's really cool that on the poster, on the back side, the promo poster that they put in Japan for the next film, again, Godzilla Planet Eater, clearly Ghidorah on the front. On the back has got that logo that Mephis was wearing on his shirt, and it's in the same gold look that Ghidorah is on the poster. And in Japanese, there's a subtitle, and the subtitle I thought was just the greatest subtitle ever. It says, "Bow down to the golden end." And I was like, oh, this is going to be unbelievable. And I think it's awesome, because especially for me as a Godzilla fan, I know for Sarge too, we're getting in November, well, for us, January, Godzilla versus Ghidorah. And then again in May, we're getting Godzilla versus Ghidorah, which will transition right into Legendary stuff right now. And yesterday they launched monarchsciences.com. And with it, the promo for Godzilla King of the Monsters skyrocketed, and it started strong. Like, it started so strong. It blew my mind. So quickly yesterday, when this happened, they instantly, what started it, they released a Monarch photo of the planet Earth, and said Monarch discovering and defense in a time of monsters. And then about an hour after they showed it, boom, the website hits. And what was so cool about this is it's such an interactive site. It's the planet Earth. It's done like you're looking through a satellite footage. And you can track all these monsters from the movies. That's what I thought was cool to notice is there's 14 different other locations that hasn't come up yet, but you've got where Rodan's at, Mothra's at, Ghidorah's at, where Godzilla's at, all there, and you get to pull it up and look at this information. And they started releasing info like crazy. So we have found out a lot in the last 24 hours. I know me and Sarge, and my buddy Ruben, we were up all night, like almost minute by minute, tracking this site and everything we could find. They did drop the teaser trailer
Yes.
So with this, they've dropped so much stuff, and it's intense, and it is a lot of information, and it is super cool. It has been confirmed that a trailer has been rated and timed at 2 minutes and 23 seconds. So we know either tomorrow or Saturday we're getting a trailer. So I mean, let's run through real quick. And Sarge, do you want to jump in on any of this? The information that we found out in the last 24 hours?
Well, heck yes, I do. everything that they're like that they're dropping. I mean, I'm loving everything that they're doing. Like with the pictures that they're finding, or that they're like releasing, like the old photographs of them, like with the cave paintings of like Mothra. What is like the type of letters that has kind of almost looks like a stamp or like a blood stain of of Rodan and Mothra on like these, like looks like a postcard or something like that.
Yeah, so those, looking at those images were like chalk rubbings or some kind of oil rubbings from cave sites and things like that.
Which is awesome. I'm loving all this stuff. I mean, I just love it, and I love how they're just like, yeah, here are the three monsters. Here are the three biggest monsters, next to Godzilla as far as popularity, and they're like making no bones about it of like how they're doing it. I love how everything's kind of cryptic, but it's like they're giving you enough. It's like with the 2014 Godzilla, it's like they really did keep like a lot of stuff under wraps, which I thought was awesome for what it was, because like him coming back and here's going to be like the next Godzilla. But what I love about this is like here's a lot of information like right up front, and it's not giving too much stuff away, but it's enough to like the height, the wingspan, King Ghidorah's like his scales are like, what is it, like bioelectrical, which plays so great into like his powers. I mean, like they have like kind of like these little like quote unquote studies on all of these monsters already, and for me as the fan that I am, it just pumps me up so much more because there's so much thought going into like these monsters and to make them like really practical and real. And for me, I love it. I love everything that they're doing right now.
Oh, definitely. I like how they're really putting them in history with these characters. You know what I mean? With Mothra. I mean, Mothra, when they go through and they've released this, declassified information as it comes up on this site. And I mean, if you haven't checked it out, anyone listening, monarchsciences.com, it is the coolest, hands down, promotional site for any movie I have ever seen. It's just unbelievable what they've done with it. It will absolutely floor you. But with Mothra, Mothra, they've found like all these ancient tablets and writings of, she was worshipped as like a deity because, and they start revealing more information that she's able of emitting these beta wave bioluminescent energy through her body, through the patterns on her wings that can be weaponized into these blinding, and they're calling them God rays. So they tie what their abilities are with how they were in history. And so it's really cool because, I mean, Mothra's really put up as this very good character, very hero character that was worshipped as a deity of light, but then you turn over to Rodan, who has got me probably the most excited with what they've released for him. They've got information from the Aztec and Mayan civilizations relating to Rodan, calling him legend as a fire demon or the one born of fire. He's literally born inside a volcano, in the magma of a volcano, and he is in what they state as pyrostasis. Of course, all these monsters are coming out in this movie, and it's awesome. They've gone into detail saying that, there was rumors of his skin being made of rock, but they've released it and said, no, it's not rock. It's a dermis layer of sharp volcanic sediment collected from centuries of dormancy. He's going to look awesome. And Sarge, you nailed it on the head as far as the size of these creatures is insane. Rodan's wingspan they released is 803 feet. That's 2.5 times the size of Godzilla's height. That is insane. Absolutely insane. They go on talking about different things for him. You know, they talk about the nature of the creatures. You know, so Rodan's biovolcanic, and with Ghidra, who is the biggest and the baddest, his information was insane. I mean, they call him a living extinction event, the one who is many. You know, I mean, they've talked about him being the largest super species ever discovered. He's in Antarctica at the time. They have stated he is 521 feet. Godzilla's 317. He's going to dwarf him, which is just going to be insane. I mean, it's really cool because they go real deep into it. I mean, they break down information of his different heads. They state, you know, that they've scanned him while he's there frozen in Antarctica, showing that there's different things in the frontal lobe. That means that his heads have individual levels of cognitive ability and maybe even think for themselves, you know. So they're going all out for this movie, and you need to check the site out. It is phenomenal. They're pumping it up. You know, something that I had stated. I mean, is there anything you want to throw at Matt's on the site now? Checking it out.
Yeah.
Is it not awesome?
Yeah. I didn't get on my computer to do it last night. I was on my phone, and so it's kind of hard to go through, but yeah, it's pretty sweet.
This is going to be huge. I mean, Legendary. All of us here have talked about it, you know, either together. I know me and Sarge, we've talked about this on the phone. They made the big move of moving this picture to May 31st of next year. And we've talked about how they're putting all their cards on the table because and after seeing this, I'm with them. I believe they do. And they have enough reason to believe this will be the biggest picture of the year for them next year. I mean, I think this will be one of the biggest pictures of the year, period.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
They're definitely, it's awesome. Now I'm just like, all right, I've said it to a lot of people, I need Doc in a DeLorean because it's time to go, you know, I need to go to the future because I cannot wait. It's just, I can't handle it. So it's awesome. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with this. Of course, big Godzilla fans here. So anyways, that was the 3 topics. One thing we always love to do before we end the show is we want to actually get a few listener questions in. And so we've had a few people call in or message us with some questions. So Matt, you want to hit those up?
Yeah. Let's see. First question is from Chris Collins. He's from Morristown, Tennessee. This is actually a really good question. What are the your favorite or worst Mario power-ups? It's a great question.
It is. Sarge, you're the biggest Mario fan. You want to take it first?
Okay. Definitely my favorite power-up is always the Fire Flower. It's just...
That's classic.
Classic, and I mean, you're throwing fire, or he's spitting fireballs, whatever he does. That's probably my favorite. It's just a great go-to. I think my least favorite, you don't see, it's not in all the games, but the mini mushroom, where he actually shrinks down, and he can...
Not a fan.
Run a lot faster and jump a lot farther, but that's my least favorite.
Tyler?
Yeah, I agree with the fireball. That was always my favorite, like, because you can just fly through and just hit that button. And you're just good to go if you're in any kind of a rush or speed to get out. I was always terrible with, like, being able to fly. Like we were talking about, you know, the levels where you can fly.
So we talk about the raccoon or the cape or both?
Both, either one. Like, I was just always terrible because I would always, and again, I'm much younger than you guys, so I was younger when these games came out.
Keep rubbing that in. For
I'm just saying I wasn't as old, so like I don't know if I just jumped at the wrong times or what, but I would always jump and try and fly, and inevitably I would fall into a hole like all the time. And so I literally would get to the place where like I would hit a box or something, and one of those would pop out, and I'm like, nope, just pass it. Because I knew if I picked it up, I was going to do something stupid with it and I was going to die. So I stayed away from those at all costs.
Matt?
My personal favorite is the mushroom. Because how many times did you die just being regular old Mario?
Yeah.
You know, as long as you got the mushroom, you're at least guaranteed one extra step.
You had that security net there.
Yeah. You know, that's just me. But the worst, and I don't know if it's really a power-up or not, but I hate the shells. I absolutely hate, like, you know, what are they called? Not Koopas, but
not the Goombas. It's
they're Koopas, aren't
they?
Are
They Koopas?
Koopalings.
Yeah.
Whatever they are.
Yep.
I hate
Koopa,
when you jump on them and then you know you get the shell and you can do something with it. I always hit myself with it. So I hate
Interesting. I
the
wouldn't even thought about
shells.
that.
Yeah.
I would consider that a power because
I would.
it's something
It's a
like you
weapon.
could pick up in the episode. Like, I would see that.
I could definitely say that. Mine favorite would be the cape or the raccoon tail,
Right.
with flying. I mean, especially for the Super Mario World. I mean, if I got the cape, forget it. I'm not. I mean, not that I'll fly to the top of the level and bypass it all. No, because I hit all the secrets. But I'm so used to using the flying abilities to get to what I need to get the secrets and things like that. So that's definitely my favorite. My worst, the frog suit. I despise the frog suit. I think that is the most useless Mario power up ever. Because I mean, what good does that suit even do you in the water? You know, and it doesn't even really help at all. I don't think. But
You can swim fast.
but okay, so now which Mario level, Sarge, underwater, do you need to swim fast or cautionarily swim around the fish? You know what I mean? Like, I've never had a Mario level where I'm like, I gotta fly through this one swimming. That's right. See,
Exactly.
That silence
There's not a
tells me
single-
there is no
not a
such
single
level.
one.
I didn't make the game. Fun stupid fact about me: when I was younger, like it was just like a green suit, and the green's like my favorite color. So I would hoard the frog suit. I'd get like all the frog suits that I could. I'm like, yes, because I thought it was my favorite. But every time I used them, like on land, it was
It's the worst thing ever. It is utterly useless on land.
Oh yeah, all you can do is like a weird, like ill-timed hop and a skip, and then like a long jump, and then you're hitting like a Koopa, and then you lose it. So yeah, I kind of like looking back, it was not a good suit.
No, the only time I would ever even utilize, because there was sometimes in Mario Brothers 3 where you just, if you're going to the mushroom houses, you get stuck with getting the frog suit as a prize. Yeah. I would use the frog suit if I was out of mushrooms. Because then I would just get hit, and then I would just be Big Mario, and I'm okay with it. Because I mean, that's the only thing that suit's good for. So, next question.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, since we're on, Mario, and I'll save the other one for last. This is actually from someone here in Bristol, and actually they're in the room with us tonight.
They are.
But anyway, this is from Josh Baker in Bristol, Tennessee. He asked, "What do you think of Mario and Luigi's evil twins, Wario and Waluigi?"
I'll start this one. I thought Wario was cool. Super Mario Land 2, first appearance, and then of course you got Wario Land and stuff. I thought he was really cool. Because for me he was something different than Bowser, and I really dig the evil, not the evil, the darker entities. Spider-Man, you got Venom. Sonic, you got Knuckles. So I really dug Wario. I thought he was really cool. Plus, I mean, any fat character that's a bad guy I love, because it makes me think of Dr. Robotnik from Sonic games. You know what I mean? So that's they just crack me up, and I think they make great villains. I liked Wario. Waluigi, I honestly thought was an absolute waste of time. Like, I thought they just tried to, like, okay, Wario's cool, we need a bad guy for Luigi. Waluigi, like, I didn't care for him. That's just me though. Wario cool, Waluigi lame. So
for me, I never used the characters. Like, I told you guys I like the Mario parties and things like that. I never really used them. I always stayed away from them. I just never really got them. Like, it just never was something that I enjoyed. And I always like going back to the original Mario games. I always liked having Bowser as the villain. So I just I never. I mean, I didn't really care that they were there, but I'd never really used them either. So they were just kind of sitting there for me.
Yeah, I agree. They were both useless for me. That's what it is for me. I don't care about those guys.
One pro Wario, then Waluigi completely useless.
Well, we got
to get
from
Sarge too,
Sarge.
definitely. So I'm just trying to take our stats of where we are here from Josh.
So far we're 2-1 against.
What about you, Sarge?
Well, I totally agree with Sludge. I like the fact how when Wario came about, he was, like the antithesis of Mario, and he during a time where it was always Bowser, like you finally get him. So I thought he was a really cool character. Just like the way he sounds, like he just sounds like, an ultimate villain, like with his laugh, his mustache, and all that stuff. So, and like Wario now, I mean, he's a big character. A lot of people use him in
Yep.
Smash, and like a lot of people like Wario. Now, Waluigi, oh golly, like,
Exactly.
not a fan.
Everyone has
there
the same
is-
emotion toward
he does have
Waluigi.
he does have like a small like cult following, and like there's actually a fair amount of people out there that want him to like receive like his own type of game. And I'm just like, no, don't you dare do it. Don't you dare do it. And like Wario, I mean, he's had some like pretty good games, like the WarioWare games. Or like
Oh yeah,
like,
those were
like,
really good.
Yeah, there's like 200 or 300 like little mini games in that, and people love those.
I thought they were
So,
cool.
yeah.
They remind me of the Game and Watch
Warriors-
games.
Warriors
Yeah.
cool. Waluigi sucks.
Actually, before we move on to the next question, and yes, there is your answer, Josh, because Josh happens to be in the room with us. He goes to church with us here. He messaged me another question that I told him I would answer. He wasn't sure if any of the other guests here would be able to answer, but have you seen any weird costumes or cosplays at Comic-Cons or conventions? So, I mean, Matt, Tyler, you guys...
I haven't been to one personally. I've seen like pictures, and you know I've kept up with when Comic-Con comes around. I've seen images and stuff, but I have not personally been there to see
Just
them.
those weird Aquaman costumes. Those are
That's what it is. White pasty guys with no shirts, just shouldn't happen.
Looks just like Mermaid Man.
Sarge, what about you, man?
The same. I've not actually been to a Comic-Con or anything like that. I really want to. I mean, I wish I had. I was telling Sludge, I wish I had like the extra funds to actually go down to San Diego and just experience that, because I know it's an experience. But I know because I have my computer in front of me. I know we were talking about Comic-Con, so I was like typing it in to see what's current going on. I know I saw a Iridia outfit, which she's a character from Final Fantasy IV, and she can summon her, and like I thought that was really cool looking. Somebody had like really cool Falcon outfit with giant wings. So yeah, I haven't seen anything in person, but it is really fun just to like Google stuff like that and just see what people come up with, and like what people fabricate from like their garages and stuff. I mean, we live in a cool time where people are getting really creative and really artistic with like bringing superhero characters or like video game characters to like life, and like how they actually look in the real world. It's really cool. It's really cool.
It is.
It is. I know a guy. He lives in South Carolina, but for Halloween, him and his wife. I thought, man, this was so cool. You got your wife to do this. They took they found some of those, like the Power Wheels cars. All right, and he chopped them up and made a Transformer costume out of them. He painted them.
That's awesome.
He painted it just like Bumblebee, man. And he walked around, and I was like, he sent me pictures. This has been a couple years ago. I was like, man, that's the coolest thing in the world that
That's
you got your
awesome.
wife to do this with you.
Yeah.
My wife would never do that with me.
No, mine would never. Yeah, yeah.
I would have to say, well, like I said, I've never been to any Comic-Con, but some of the most impressive or coolest ones I've seen are the concepts that people come up with for the Iron Man suits.
Oh, yeah. So
Like the fully
Oh,
functional Iron Man suits that, like, the face mask lifts up, the arm, shines when he's like, just all the aspects of it, the back pieces for the boosters and everything like that. When those can like all have the functioning pieces, I'm like, good grief,
Yeah, that'll be
this is insane.
For me, I mean, I kind of like with you guys. I've been to Comic-Con or a Comic-Con, and there's been some great costumes. None that's really stuck out as weird or odd. Everyone definitely does their best, and some of them are just stellar. I do, however, have a great cosplay story I got to witness at a Godzilla convention at G-Fest. So it was a great experience. They do have cosplay there. People dress up like different Godzilla monsters and characters. One of the big rivals, other than Ghidorah, has always been Kong. Because back in 1962, King Kong and Godzilla fought. In 2020, they're going to fight again. The year that I went, there was a guy dressed up as King Kong and then a guy dressed up as Godzilla who won first and second place on the cosplay contest at the G-Fest. And the guy in the Kong suit started talking crap to the guy in the Godzilla suit they're in the contest.
Yeah.
They just announced he was mad that he didn't win first place because he thought his Kong costume was better and he thought Kong was better than Godzilla. So, and it got heated, really heated.
Oh, I'm sure.
So the guy wearing the Godzilla suit, I remember him, I met him before the contest. His name was Omar. Just said enough was enough and decked this guy. I mean, just full on punched him right in the face in this Kong suit and knocked him out. And when he hit the ground, he put his foot right on top of him. The whole hall, I mean, everybody just went into applause. Was like, yeah! Because we just saw Godzilla knock Kong out right in front of us.
It just proves Godzilla's the best. Come on.
So that was awesome. So that's probably like
That's cool.
there's good suits, but that's definitely a cosplay story I will never forget.
awesome.
Just a one-punch shot.
One punch. Oh,
Man.
yeah.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
it was so cool.
Sounds like an experience I had going to a Tennessee Vol football game one time. Almost the exact same thing. I mean, it was just in the stadium with people watching the game.
Was it a Gator fan and a Vol fan?
No, it was. It ended up being 2 Tennessee fans, but
Wow.
it was still bad. But anyways,
It's pretty bad when Tennessee fans fight each other
Yeah.
because that's how bad they are.
Yeah, it was really bad, and I'm not a Tennessee fan. Anyways,
Me neither. Go
all right,
Gators.
last question. This is from Jed Stark. He's in Nashville, Tennessee. Love Nashville. I'm headed there this weekend. Anyway, do you think Godzilla will be hero-esque in The King of Monsters or more of an anti-hero like in the first film?
Sarge, you want to take that one first? Because we both know Jed. I think it'd be kind of cool if you answer it.
Oh yeah, love that guy. And it's cool that he's in Tennessee now.
He is a
I saw
fellow
him a couple
Godzilla
months
fan,
ago.
by the way.
Yes, I love that kid, and yeah, I really think that he's going to be more of like a heroic figure. I don't know if it's going to be so obvious to like the humans of like, hey, I'm here to protect you guys. I think it'd be more of like
For the viewers, maybe.
me and Ghidra, we got history, so I'm going to take care of him. I really don't care about you guys per se. I'm not really here for you guys. I think it might kind of cross that way, but it's basically, I think it's going to be heroic, but not like in an obvious way.
I think I'm going to kind of go with that one, too. I mean, I think I may see him, I don't know if I'd call it an anti-hero role. I mean, the first one, I like how they set him up as he balances nature. That character. Right. And I really think he's going to stay in that role, but I do think he may be a little darker just for the sheer fact of the animosity that they're building up between him and Ghidorah. That whole call to arms comment that Doherty made and stuff. So I think he might, almost reminiscent to Gamera and Gamera 3 Revenge of Eris, which I don't know if you guys have seen. Sarge, I know you've seen it. He's gotten darker to the point where it's like, I really just don't even care about anything else at this point other than stopping Ghidra. You know what I mean? So it's no holds barred, nothing else matters. So I think he'll have that balance of nature character going, but it'll be a little edgier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, man. It's all which viewpoint you're looking at it from. If from a human, it's like he's a villain, but from his point of view, he's a hero, but the people may look to him as a hero after that. I don't know. So, yeah.
I'm going with hero on this one. I just think with King Ghidorah coming in, I just think that like you said, he's going to turn his focus on that and not so much be worried about anything else in that moment. And by taking on King Ghidorah, I think that's going to kind of shed the kind of the hero light on him a little bit, I guess.
Because I can kind of see it, going in that movie, and we'll touch on this real quick, and then we'll wrap her up. Because again, Jed's a big Godzilla fan, and so Sarge. A lot of this movie that they're talking about is very reminiscent. And Tyler, definitely check this one out if you can on the Plex. Very reminiscent to the original Ghidorah, the three-headed monsters. You got Godzilla, you've got Rodan, you've got Mothra, you've got Ghidra. All of them at some point, from what rumors has happened from the screenings, don't team up, but kind of have to get on the same side to fight Ghidorah. A lot of it's really seeming to be kind of like a remake of that movie. And that was in 1964 when that came out, during the show era. That was the initial turn for Godzilla to become a hero. Can they do something in the new one where we really see him go from being an anti-hero to changing that hero role to step into Kong versus Godzilla? It's possible with as much as much homage as they're paying to these original films so far,
Yeah.
it's a possibility.
Yeah.
You may be right on this one. So, all right,
I really hope so.
it's going to be great either way. So, I mean, it's Godzilla on the screen. I don't care. You know, I just actually recently, Gavin, my son, watched the new animated film with me, and he's like, "Why is Godzilla bad?" I'm like, "Because he could be a bad guy. He started as a bad. I don't like him bad, Dad." I'm like, "Look, it'll be
awesome.
okay." So,
That's awesome.
but anyway, so Sarge, any last words before we jet out of here?
I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me on. I love listening to podcasts, and this is actually like the first one that I've had like this long form conversation in a podcast form. So I appreciate you guys having me on with that. And to all your guys listeners, I play in a band called The Protest, and we just released our third record, Legacy, that just came out July 13th, and it's pretty much anywhere you can find your music, listen to your music. So, you guys like hard rock, please check that out. And, I've had a blast doing this. And, if you guys want, I would love to come back on and chat with you guys some more. Seriously, I really enjoyed it.
Well, we will definitely do that. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for episode 2. This is Sludge.
It's Matt. It's Tyler.
Y'all have a good night.